Hello, and welcome to everybody's favorite Thursday show from the Player 3 podcast, Three Topic Thursday with Luke and Diz. I am your host, Luke Croft, and alongside me we have Dizzy. That's already his nickname, Cooper. Well,
Yes.
Hold your head. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing spectacular. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. We were racking our brains about these topics earlier.
It hasn't been incredibly easy, unfortunately.
Today is going to be a great day. I don't know why, but today seems like it's going to be a great day.
Sun is shining bright.
You can watch us live over here at twitch.tv/player3podcast or find our YouTube video over at youtube.com/player3podcast. We also have an iTunes and Podbean, a Stitcher thing that our Monday show goes on. But this is just a little bonus offering.
Yeah.
Mostly because me and you love talking about video games together. And we also like having an excuse to go get lunch together on Thursdays.
That's
Which
usually
is
it.
really what this has
That's
become.
usually it.
We don't really care about the content necessarily. We just get to go
We don't
eat
care about
lunch.
the content.
I don't.
Listen, we got to go to Tokyo Express today.
And it was very good.
Yes,
Reminded me of why I love that place.
The shrimp sauce.
Yeah, it's very good. But we're not here to talk about shrimp sauce.
We're not.
And we're not here to talk about Star Wars. And we're not here to talk about any of your identity issues.
Jeez, and why am I here?
Because we're here to talk about video games.
All right, that's the only fourth thing.
Everyone's favorite thing in the universe, video games. And the fact that Phantom Force _TV is in the chat again with us today,
Woo!
boys and girls. I am so freaking excited. Supergirl75, thank you also for being here. But Phantom Force, longtime friend of the show, has been absent. I was starting to fear that he had been kidnapped by ISIS.
If we have done anything to offend you, blame Ben.
Yeah, it was probably Ben. I'm going to go ahead and 100% guarantee it was Ben. Money back guarantee. We'll pay you all that you've paid to listen to this podcast, which is zero. All right. But we're going to talk about video games. We got 3 topics, good friends to talk about games with, so we're ready to get started. Topic number 1. Today's all about features. Dizzy, what are the greatest features of games that you were a fan of?
Oh,
Maybe it was a feature that kind of took your game to the next level, or something, a feature that maybe made a game your favorite game, or in that top 5 list or something.
All right, so favorite features in video games.
Yes.
Well, as I've always said, I'm quite the sucker for customization. So when that was brought into the video game world of being able to customize your character, it just changed everything to me. That has begun to be one of the main things that I look into a game, and that helps me know if I want to buy it or even try it. So, like, if there's a game that you can customize your character's appearance, I'm there. And I think one of the best games that was able to utilize that is a game that I just don't play. And that is the wrestling games, the WWE games.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I did back in the day. I had this weird dude. He had like horns and a bunch of tattoos, and he'd spear people, whatever.
I would always make a dude named the Preacher,
Mhm.
and I'd put him in a suit, and then he would choke slam people, and his finisher was called the Baptism.
Baptism. Beautiful.
It'd be awesome.
Beautiful. No, I was more the guy you needed to baptize. I had the horns and all that stuff.
It would have been an epic showdown fight, like one between the Incredible Hulk Hogan. It's not Hulk Hogan. It's the Avengers character, who also has a great mustache.
So I'm picturing the Incredible Hulk with a beautiful blonde mustache.
We need to freaking go buy a wrestling game to create the Incredible Hulk Hogan.
I'm all right with that. And he has red pants.
Yeah, he wears shades. He wears
Okay.
he wears a boa.
And he has a skullet going on there. Long hair in the back and nothing in the front.
Yep.
But he's still huge and green.
yeah,
I'm down with that.
I like it.
I'm down
This
with
is
that.
worth spending money.
I don't
on.
know why I don't play those games. Oh, yeah, because it got way more complicated.
It did.
It got really complicated.
My brother's really into those games. I think he played the latest
Mm-hmm.
installment of the franchise, and he's always like, "You want me to come on the podcast and talk about it?" I'm like, "No, there are
Gosh.
there are a lot of things I want to talk about on the podcast, and wrestling video games is not one of them."
Gosh.
Sorry, wrestling fans out there. We love you, just not wrestling or you.
How do I even contend with these jokes? I don't know what to do.
I'm feeling it today. I'm on it, man. I'm in a weird mood, and I like it.
Man, well, I got another one,
Okay,
but
lay it on me.
I'll let you go ahead
Oh,
and
okay.
jump in. We're
All
gonna do
right.
give
Well,
and take.
like I said, we don't care about wrestling games, but most other people don't care about sports games, and so that's where my first one comes in.
Sports entertainment.
Yeah, that's sports entertainment. I like sports. Supergirl 75. Thanks for tuning in. You're great.
Bye-bye.
All right, awesome. Franchise mode in Madden came in 1999. Now we had the option of playing single season games for quite some time, but the biggest dream of sports fans is to be able to play GM and say, "Hey, my team sucks, and if I was in control of it, it would be a whole lot better." And franchise mode allowed you to do that. So in Madden 99, they introduced the first ever franchise mode where you could play 15 years of a career controlling your favorite team. And
Wait, you still got to play the games, right?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you still play the games, you still play the seasons, but you are in full control of your roster, in the trades. You got to draft during the offseason, sign free agents, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But and really, Madden 99 kind of set the precedent for sports gaming from then on out. Like franchise mode became a mainstay in every single sim sports franchise, and Madden has to thank for that. And it's also still continues to be one of the most played game modes of Madden, even more so probably than I think Madden Ultimate Team is the only thing that beats it out. But like online ranked matches and stuff, they don't come close to the amount that people play on franchises.
Do you play that? Is that your main?
Yeah, I am mainly a franchise guy.
Okay.
So that would be mine. That would be one of mine. All right, go ahead, give and take. Well, another one of your great features.
Skill trees, another form of customization. But this way, like in the realm of Borderlands, is that you're able to put points into the moves and the abilities that you want. So it allows the game, it allows you to tailor the game to your playing style. Now, you'd see that in Borderlands, you see that in Skyrim. You kind of saw it in Far Cry. They didn't do it too well because there really wasn't much. But, again, it's another form of customization. It's a winner to me. It's a winner. Did you ever play Skyrim and stuff like that?
I played the first couple hours of Skyrim, killed a couple dragons, and was like, "There's way too much going on in this game."
But what was your style? Were you like the archer? Were you the melee guy, the magic guy?
Oh, I was definitely the melee guy.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is like, despite how much customization is allowed, I'm always going to pick the same kind of character pretty much. Like,
Oh, really?
I like to be a brawler. I like to be the guy that's in there. I can take a lot of damage, but I can deal a lot of damage as well. That's kind of my play style. Now, what was the first game that you played that really had like skill tree customization, kind of pick your own path?
I mean, I guess that would be Oblivion, essentially.
Okay.
But that's what makes skill tree so amazing is that you can tailor it to your specific style. You don't have to add points to magic if you don't want to. You don't have to put points in doing this move if you don't want to. It just brings a whole new layer to a game.
Yeah. Well, and it like in Assassin's Creed Unity, that was one of the things I was most looking forward to. One of the things I hate that games oftentimes do is they add like they add something that looks like a skill tree, but really it's just once you reach level 3, the only thing you're going to be able to unlock is this next thing. So like it's still real linear in that sense. But with Assassin's Creed Unity, like you could put points towards stealth or put points towards melee attacks or various things like that. And I appreciate it when that is given to me as an option, especially in a game that wasn't necessarily tailor-made for me in the very beginning of the franchise, because I'm not a real big kind of stealth sneak around guy. And Assassin's Creed Unity gave me the option of playing in a different way and playing in even a more upfront way with my enemies. And so customization opens up the possibilities for people to get involved in franchises they may not have been involved in originally. So I agree. I think that's definitely a huge thing in the gaming world. I never played the game, but I did watch Larry play for a little bit, and that was Animal Crossing for the GameCube. And one of the coolest features of that game was the fact, and you can maybe explain it a little better than I can. You had to find,
Yeah, you had to find these discs.
yeah, and the discs were SNES games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could play those games
I
within.
think they were more NES.
Oh, were they NES?
Yeah.
Okay, you could play those games within Animal Crossing,
Mm-hmm.
and so like you could, if you find the original Donkey Kong disc, you can go and play the original
Yeah,
Donkey
like
Kong.
you'd have your system and like the box art over top of it,
Yeah.
or something like that.
And that was just really cool. Little quirky things like that like just kind of add depth to the game, because it's like I may not want to play Animal Crossing, but I sure as heck might want to play the original Super Mario
That's a good thing.
or regular Mario.
That's a good thing that
Mario
you
Bros.
brought up, is because I remember when the Wii was first coming out, they were like, "Oh, you can play all these old games, but you still had to, download them from the marketplace or whatever, the store." And but with the way Animal Crossing did it was the way we thought it was going to be, that you just had access to these. And I never found any of the games when I played, but Larry seems to have found most of them.
Okay,
There it is.
they had 4, 9, 11. They had almost 20 games that you could play on that little disc, on that little tiny disc.
It says you had to earn 5 of them.
And then I think, yeah, you had to earn some. You had to obtain some through giveaways. You had to obtain others through different places on the map. I also think there were codes that you could have that were able to that you were able to get games with. But yeah, anyway, so that was just a really cool feature. Like, it was just a little thing that adds even more replayability to a game that most fans of the series would say is highly replayable already.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that game had so many interesting features as is, of how it remembers how long you've been away. It gets angry at you when you turn it off without saving. There was just so many features I've never seen again.
It was really like one of the first. It wasn't truly persistent, just because the GameCube didn't have that functionality. Because I think what it did was, when you loaded the game, it looked at your system clock and then adjusted according to that, correct?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like truly persistent, but it had the perception of persistence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there was a game that ever came out before it that had that sort of function.
I can't think of one. I mean, and the way the game punished you, of when Mr. Rossetti came out and Larry was talking about how there's a certain one that if he gets angry enough, he'll make it seem like your game has been erased or crashes or something. Like, that's just so amazing to me. I say that's a feature.
Well, and you brought up, and I'll let you explain how it worked again. Like in Metal Gear Solid, that like kind of meta game where the game messes with you to think about real life. Explain what that was again.
When you fight, I believe it was Psycho Mantis. The character would talk to you and like read your memory card and force you to do things like to put your controller down, and he'll take control over it. So you had to like switch it from player 1 to player 2 just to defeat him. Super, super great, just like breaking reality.
What about switching it to Player 3 podcast right here on youtube.com/player3podcast?
Golly.
I mean, just little quirky things like that. Like, just I love features like that. So whether it's Mr. Rossetti or that kind of thing, those are really cool to me. That was one of the things I liked about Sunset Overdrive so much, was it was kind of meta. It made it seem like it was interacting with you, not just alongside you. And so that was cool. Do you have any others?
Yes. I'm not really pleased to say that I played this game as much as I did as a kid, but again, it had a customization feature to it. But back in the day, there was this backyard wrestling game that was
Wrestling.
It was wrestling, and it was sponsored by Insane Clown Posse.
Mm-hmm. Magnets.
It was a dark time for me. And its feature was you were able to download the soundtrack of the game onto your hard drive. Like, that was when Xbox was really coming out as an entertainment system. So it lets you burn discs to the hard drive, And what ICP did, they just said, hey, download all the music we have on here for you and save it to your hard drive. Keep it. It's yours. And that's a very interesting feature I haven't seen before because they're giving you something, even though it's ICP music. They're giving you something for having the game. And then that just kind of opened up the door for custom soundtracks. And, you know, that really enhanced sports games.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think custom soundtracks were starting to come along as, like in EA games, as EA Tracks was kind of diminishing in its prevalence in their games. Like, I think at one point Madden had switched to just all like pre-done music like you see on those NFL Films videos. And they weren't featuring real artists and real and just real songs. Like
Wow.
there were so many great bands that were featured in that. Like Taking Back Sunday was in a Madden one year, and like I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
I'm just going to say it. I now think that's a bad feature because we had these great games with amazing soundtracks, like all the Tony Hawks,
Yeah,
and it's like it's no longer a main focus. Like when I was growing up, Tony Hawk was the main way that I discovered new music.
well, I think what ended up happening was game companies started to see like, okay, these consoles that we have are starting to support custom soundtracks. It costs us buku's money to secure the rights to this music. So if people are just going to put their own soundtracks in anyway, why would we put the time? Like MVP Baseball had really, really great music that, like, when it comes on today, I'm like, I can tell you that was MVP Baseball 2004. That game was on. But yeah, EA Tracks started to diminish and custom soundtracks started to come up. I remember using custom soundtracks when I play, or just listening to music in the background. I don't know if it was necessarily custom soundtracks on Skate 2. Like I listened to Family Force 5 all the time when I was playing some Skate 2.
That was during college, wasn't it?
I think it was right before college. It may have been as I was coming into college.
I remember the time that we would be playing Skate, I guess Skate
Oh,
3
yeah.
together.
Yeah. Gosh, they need to bring those games back.
I think we're going to make a fourth one.
They have to make a fourth one. I would imagine everyone wants that game. Like
I want it.
when Tony Hawk got announced a couple weeks ago, everyone was like, "We want Skate," and I'm like, "This has nothing to do with Skate, first of all, except that they're the same genre." Like the production of Tony Hawk does not diminish the possibility of a Skate 4 being in production right now as well. E3 prediction: we're going to see Skate 4. I'm just kidding. Maybe. The problem is I don't know. Like I don't know where it would get shown. Like it's not going to show at Xbox. Xbox is really focused on first party, mostly because we're straying away, but that's fine. Conversational podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
But that's because I think it's because so many of their partnerships that they had, like with Call of Duty, they're jumping ship and going over to the Sony side for marketing. So the Xbox One's going to be focusing really heavily on first party stuff. I would love to see Skate 4 at E3.
I would too. I'd be all over that.
It'd be awesome with a little Alanis Morissette in the background.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? All right.
Anything else you got?
Man, those are my good ones for gaming. But I have some good ones for some.
I thought of another one and
Oh, you
I meant to write it down. Now I've
Bring
forgotten
it.
it. But if
Okay.
I come back, if it comes back to my brain, you were talking about custom soundtracks. What were you talking about before that?
Skill trees.
Never mind. It's
Okay.
gone
It's
completely.
gone.
Forever and ever. Never.
Never to return.
All right. So that was topic 1. All right. Let's see. All right. We've talked about the greatest features
Ooh,
of
Empty Vials.
a game. Oh, Dip. Empty Vials is here. What's up? We've talked about the greatest features of games that we're a fan of. Let's talk bigger. Let's talk system-wide features. What do you think were some of the greatest system features placed on consoles throughout the history of all of mankind?
Throughout the history.
Of all
Oh.
of mankind. Empty
Calls
Vials.
us out!
Every time. Remind me when we're done, I'm going to put together a bio. I'm going to get a nude photo of you.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, I'm not going to get a nude phone. I mean,
I'll
I
just
meant
send it
off
to
of
you.
my phone.
Oh, you already got it?
Yes.
Okay, making sure.
I'm going to get one off of my phone, and it will be under there on Twitch for at least
You haven't moved.
a few moments. I'm going to refresh this and see if we're still good.
Jeez.
So anyway, yes, we will get the bio going, Empty Vials, all right? And when you come back on next time, we will have a bio, and it may just be Seth with a giant middle finger that just says Empty Vials underneath of it. I'm just kidding. We love you.
Every person's going to say favorite person, and it's going to say Empty Vials every time.
Gosh. Mine's going to say Bill Simmons.
Okay, so Bill Simmons once, and then Empty Vials 4 times.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. We've talked about the greatest features of games. Let's talk about what are the greatest features of a console, of a system.
All right, now, it's
And
top.
let me preface this
Please
real quick,
do.
because here's the thing. We are talking about in our experience. We have not played all of the consoles. I can't even draw you a picture of the Commodore 64. Can you?
I could.
Look at you. Draw me one right now while I'm talking. And so this is just in our experience. So if we miss something, I'm sorry. All right? But anyway, we're talking about the greatest features of systems in our experience. So don't get mad at us. All right. That is just the middle finger. I'm very upset with you.
Don't show it. I'll get fired.
I'll get fired. Oh, wow. He went there. He did it.
All right. Yes.
Well, now it's guaranteed I'm touching that. So you hand it to me. There's
all
just
right.
a thumb right
Sorry, did you keep these? Do you keep these?
here. We're good.
Do you keep these?
No, we're good. You're
Okay,
good.
sorry.
I mean, they're all right here in the Rolodex of history, so that when I die, they're like, oh gosh, this guy was planning on talking about Batman Arkham Knight at some point. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so it's more of a top 3. These are all things that have definitely enhanced our gaming, but one really took the cake for me, and that was the wireless controller. Man, we are no longer tethered to the box. I can't tell you how many times growing up playing the PS2, I'm sitting in my chair and I'm, move or I tilt back, and the system comes with it. That's always terrified me. Because I'm holding on to it, the system falls out of its area. That ever happened to you?
Well, let me say this. You're from West Virginia.
Yes.
And so was your home big enough to have room to lean back? Yeah.
Only when I was home alone.
Your parents would be behind you otherwise, right?
Yes. Be too cramped.
Let's see. I'm trying to think if that ever happened to me. Maybe I was just ultra cautious about it. Because, let's see. I got the N64 and the PS2 as a gift. And was like, if I break this thing, I'm never getting a console ever again. And then all the others I bought myself, and it was just like, okay, just gonna be careful with this thing. But I have had the whole like walking away with the controller to try to reach something, and like you're holding one and you're like reaching out here to try to get something. I've had that go, so
Yeah.
I relate. You keep talking. I'm gonna look up something.
And when they brought out the wireless controller, they were crazy expensive. But the first one I remember using was the GameCube one. I think it was a whitish gray, and it had this big pack on the bottom of it. That thing changed my life.
My life.
And luckily they kept it going. And it's just it's a whole new world to me. Now I can, wait, hold on. Even wireless controllers are going out of style. I can just yell at my Xbox now, and it does what I want it to. But I digress.
I'm trying to look. I think it was the PS2 that had it was an adapter that you plugged your controllers into, and then there was a receiver plugged into the PlayStation 2 that would receive the signal wirelessly.
Yeah, I think they did that with the Wii controller. It was like a little box.
What's up, the _British_ gamer? He asked if we were too big to talk to our viewers. And maybe Empty Vials can just be on standby to explain this in the future. We'll talk about the topic, and then as you guys engage in the topic, we will come to the chat in a very intimate way.
Intimately.
Incredibly. Mostly covered in silk and melted butter.
I thought you only brought out the melted butter for that.
We will make one of those out of silk, Dizzy, if that will please you. If that pleases the gentleman.
Good.
You haven't been playing The Witcher. You meet a guy who calls you the gentleman all the time. He's like,
But we are fine Southern gentlemen.
he was like, will that please the gentleman? And I'm like,
Oh, it pleases.
I am carrying a head of a griffin on the side of my. You can only be so gentlemanly.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, I digress. Back to the point. So here we go. Wireless controllers, yes. Huge. What was even more important in that realm was the plug-and-play charger.
Mm-hmm.
Where I didn't have to go hunting through my house stealing batteries from my dad's TV remote to get my controller to work. And what was even bigger than that was the built-in battery that could be recharged, where I didn't have to buy extra crap, like in the PS3 controllers.
Man, I'm still a battery guy. Like just getting some double A's. Just dealing with it.
Anyway, sorry, I keep getting caught up in the chat. My apologies. Empty Vials has explained to me what he meant. Sorry.
Wait, what?
He says that's not what he said, P3P. He was saying you guys currently have a few viewers and was wondering if you guys were just having a slow day. That's a little more hurtful because this is this is just generally how it goes, guys. But we do this because we love it and we have a lot of fun doing it. We do love the people that view. We do love the people that chat along. The British Gamer, we love you. Hit that follow button if you haven't already. All right. My biggest feature, all-time system-wide, and this is huge, and it's like the obvious choice, but we can't talk about it. We can't talk about this question without talking about this feature. Online connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was nothing greater than being able to hop on Call of Duty back in the day and play against people from all around the world. Mm-hmm. And it has changed gaming ever since its inception. Like, I would say 75% of my gaming occurs with other people. And maybe not necessarily playing with them, but being in a party chat with them. Like if I get on and Ben's on, even if we're not playing the same thing, I'll just hop in a party chat with him and talk to him while I play. Like online gaming revolutionized video gaming. Most of the time for the good, sometimes not for the so good.
Yes.
But for me, it's definitely a positive thing, and it's definitely magnified my love for gaming. We were talking at lunch earlier, though, and you asked a great question. You said, do you think online connectivity... You ask it, because I don't remember exactly how you put it.
That back when we were still, cartridge-based and not connected to the internet, the game you got was the game you got. And I asked if being connected to the internet and having an ability to update your game, get patches, have system updates or whatever, is causing developers to be a little bit lazier or a little bit more relaxed about the releases.
Yeah, there used to be a pride in the product that you launched simply because that's the way that it stood. Like if you pop in a Super Mario Brothers cartridge right now into your SNES, if you pop in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 into your Sega Genesis, that game is the exact same game that they shipped originally decades ago, and so developers understood, like, this game that we're shipping out has to withstand the test of time. Mm-hmm. We cannot go back and fix this. We can fix later versions of it, but we can't necessarily fix the original release of it. And now the fact that there are system updates and patches and server-side things that you can do, it's almost, and DLC, it's like, well, we can ship something, and we'll get it right later. And
Unity will be better later.
Yeah, just stick around. Like it. That's why I don't pre-order stuff anymore, because there's no accountability in making the product you launch good, because you could just say, yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Master Chief Collection will work inevitably.
That's right. One day it will work. Let's see. We have Empty Vial says, nothing greater. I have 10,000 12-year-olds that would disprove that. And then the British says, where?
Is it a basement? We need to know right now.
I've got a whole. Oh crap! I forgot what it's called. Where you just a harem.
Oh, whoa.
That's what I took from this.
Whoa.
Not me. Empty Vials. NSA. Empty Vials has 10,000. Thanks for that follow, British Gamer. He has 10,000 12-year-olds hidden away somewhere. For the sole purpose of just proving my fact that online gaming was the greatest advancement in gaming history. He has been training them up in the ways of debate.
Mm.
And if they can't win me by logic, they will take me by force.
And then make fun of your mother.
Yep. They don't even know my mom.
They don't. She's a lovely lady.
She is a very nice lady. Anyway.
But I got more. More good things.
Okay, what else you got there?
Hard drive memory.
Yes.
No more memory cards. Whew. Man, I remember back in the day, I had so many memory cards. I'd have to... Well, they did come with stickers, mind you, that you can write on them, but I never did, so I just keep putting them in, figuring out which one I need. And they were just expensive. They didn't hold a ton. You said there was a game that took a whole memory card?
Yeah, Madden 99 for a franchise save. It took the entire memory card.
Golly. And the memory cards were what, like $30-some?
Yeah, they were mad expensive. It's funny, you know how like we have symbols that stand for things, and those symbols are based off of the way that they used to look. Like a phone symbol looks like an old handheld unit.
Like saving, it's the floppy disk.
Yeah, and so like we have these symbols that stand. One time, Tim told me a story that his daughter was in the office with him. Tim's a guy that I work with. His daughter was in the office with him, and the phone starts ringing. I'm going somewhere with this. The phone starts ringing. And his daughter picked the phone up and handed it to him and said, "Hey, somebody's calling." And like he immediately got mad that she answered the phone. But when he answered the phone, took the phone call, then set it down and was like, "You do not answer the phone if in the office. You don't do that." And she started to explain like, "Well, I didn't know that if I just picked it up, it would answer." Mm-hmm. And it's like, that kind of blows my mind because
she said you had to push a button.
That's all she's known in life is you pick up the phone and you have to press the accept button. Much like the way that kids are going to look at that phone symbol in the future and be like, "Why in the world does it look like that?" Or why does save look like a box with a smaller box in it?
Yeah.
People are going to look at those PS2 cases and see the round hole for the disc and then that square hole above it and be like, "What the heck was that square hole there for?" Mm-hmm. And it was for the memory card. Because you almost had to have a different memory card for every couple games that you owned. And so hard drive memory, I guess PS3 and the Xbox 360 were the first to do hard drives.
To my knowledge.
And so, yeah, a big money saver.
Or did the original?
Did the original Xbox?
Yeah, because you put it in the top of the controller in that one.
Yeah, that's right. It had that giant slot. So that revolutionized the way that we...
And it's constantly improving. Like, you're getting more and more, like, gigs and gigs. And then there's a... Did you say something about a terabyte? Or is that just hopeful?
No, well, last year with Advanced Warfare, they released a custom Xbox One with a 1 terabyte hard drive in it. So we went from, like, what, 512 megs? Was that what the original?
Probably. Maybe 32.
PS2 memory card. I'm looking it up. I don't like to be wrong, Dizzy, and I'm wrong a lot. 128 megs.
28.
We had 8 megs.
Like
16 megs.
Those don't even work in modern day digital cameras.
That's very true. You can fit like a picture. Wow. PS2 memory card original price. That's what I'm interested in because, oh man. I didn't realize growing up how much it cost my parents to let me be a video game fan, and now I'm about to understand how much that is. $35, I think, was the original price of a memory card. That's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. And I had 4 that I know
of. The legendary Merrick's asks if we have girlfriends, and Empty Vials let them know that we're married to each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Thanks, Vials. You just walked him into that one.
He just said they're married. I put the to each other part on there. Hit that follow button, the legendary Merrick's. or Marox.
Well, my quarter Mexican wife can get pretty spicy.
Anyway, he says, "What do you guys think about the Illuminati?" We
I
can't really talk about our involvement in the Illuminati, or else we'll get kicked out. What do you think about that, Jay-Z? We see you trying to get us to slip up. All right, moving on. Anyway, yeah. So, hard drive memory. So, like, in the fact that we went from like, what was that biggest memory card that I saw?
128.
The 128 meg to like, here's the 250 gig PlayStation 3 hard drive, or I think it was 60 gigs, or 30 and 60 were the original models. that you
Mine
could
was like an 8 because I got the arcade version.
buy. Yeah, for the Xbox.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a big deal. Going back to that generation and something that was super important with it, is the Blu-ray player implementation of the PS3. And I think the history behind this is really
It
interesting.
really is.
So at the time that Blu-ray was coming up, it was a Sony developed peripheral, but it was seeing competition from, I can't remember who it was that produced it, but the HD DVD.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember
So
seeing
you
those.
had the blue and you had the red cases that were the HD DVDs. And at the time of its launch was also at the start of the Gen 7 consoles. And so the PS3 was coming out, and when they were deciding what kind of disc drive to put on, the Xbox decided on the CD-ROM or the DVD, and the PS3 had to make the decision: do we want to include this Blu-ray technology that is super expensive in our consoles, or do we want to just do the DVD like Xbox is doing and kind of limit the space on it? Well, they decided that what they were going to do was that they were going to take an original loss on the sales price of a PS3, which is crazy to think about because I think the PS3 launched at $599, but it was so expensive to implement the Blu-ray player that they were taking a couple $100 of loss with every PS3 sale.
So it should have been $799.
It should have been like way more expensive than what it was, but essentially they were like, we can't raise the price of this thing anymore.
That's
It
valuable.
was already super expensive. Expensive enough that during the E3 announcement they were like, you're going to need to get a second job to get this. Anyway, but they implemented the Blu-ray player, and a lot of people thought like that's a really bad move. But the point behind it was, what we're going to do is we are going to flood the market. People are going to buy this console regardless. We're going to flood the market with Blu-ray players, and we're going to stomp HD DVD out. And I don't know if you remember this, but Xbox released an extra drive that you could plug in that was the HD DVD drive. And because it wasn't already installed and because it was an extra, I think, $150 to get that drive, no one really attached themselves to it. I saw one at a pawn shop a couple weeks ago, one of the HD DVD drives. But the PlayStation 3 is the reason that Blu-ray won that competition battle. The PS3 inundated the market with Blu-ray players, and people were like, well, we have the capability to play these things now, let's buy Blu-rays. So, but the Blu-ray player also meant that we didn't have to have games that were
3 discs long.
3-4 discs long.
Exactly.
Because the memory capacity on it's way bigger than a regular DVD.
I remember playing Rage and Wolfenstein New Order. They were 3 discs each. Like, I hadn't seen something like that since Final Fantasy VII, which had 4, I do believe.
Empty Vials made a good point, and the British Gamer asks, wasn't the PS3 worth like $800 each? Yeah, they were taking a huge loss on these things. But Empty Vials said you could buy a PS3 with the Blu-ray player built in for the same price you were paying for a Blu-ray player at the time.
Wow.
Like, Blu-ray players at the time were $499. Like, we could go and pick up a Blu-ray player for $80 now.
Yeah.
But there was a time where it was like the jam.
Wow.
But
But did they even have TVs that were worth that buy, though, for Blu-rays back then?
yeah. Well, I mean, Blu-rays at the time I think were being released in 720, and that was kind of the standard at the time. That was a higher end model. Was the 720, the 720p, 1080i, that sort of stuff. So, but again, it was about flooding the market, and so I think the Blu-ray player, if not just for its really interesting history in the implementation of the PS3, and now it's funny, every time you buy an Xbox, a little bit of your money goes to Sony.
It's like I remember going to stores and seeing a bin of those crimson red boxes about yay big. I'm like, what the heck are these? Where did those HD DVDs even end up? The trash?
I mean, there's still things that can play it. You just can't buy them. And Empty Vials makes another good point. He says Blu-ray still made everything sharper no matter what the TV was. It was essentially like going from analog to SD video. So you went from an analog signal to a digital signal.
Thank you, Sam.
So anyway,
I had another one. Oh yes. Now, playing video games is a hobby for most, career for some, the competitive ones. But when you play, you're doing it to experience it and to have a good time. But with this feature that came out, it gave a bigger, or not necessarily bigger, but more of a purpose behind it. And that was the establishment of the achievements and the trophies to make you feel like you were achieving something while you're playing this video game. Now, there's a lot of achievement hunters out there, and I was that person for a long while, but I still think it's interesting that you can earn these points by doing something that they have predetermined would be a fun or cool thing to do. And I think that's brilliant. It gives more play value to me. And I think it does the same with Ben. His goal was to make as many points as possible, getting as many trophies as he could this year. Yeah, that was really cool, though.
Yeah, that's not necessarily something that... I'm not really an achievement hunter. Every now and then I'll get, the wild notion that I'm going to try to platinum a game.
I have never done that.
And I've never done it. I'm trying to platinum the show right now. MLB The Show. But outside of that, it's never really been anything that's driven me. But I do think in just gaming all around, achievements are a big deal.
Is there a trophy for the show where you had to pitch a perfect game?
No, there used to be.
Woo.
There used to be one. The hardest one in that game now is you have to have 7 RBIs in a game with one player,
okay,
which is really hard. And what was the? Oh, and you have to strike out 15 batters in a game. Those are the 2 really hard ones. But yeah, they kind of made the platinum a little easier in this game. That's why I'm doing it.
Is it difficulty specific? Like, can you do it on easy?
No, but I just don't have it in me to be like, I'm going to put it on rookie.
It's a good man.
Yeah. I like to earn what is given to me. I like to earn it. Anyway, I think going way back to the Sega Genesis, there was a feature called Sega Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And this was way ahead of its time. But essentially what you do, I think it was with Time Warner Cable, you would buy this adapter that plugged in via coaxial. And it would allow you basically to play games online. You'd receive games that you could then play on your Sega. It could be demos. It could be even competitions. They had a Triple Play Baseball 96 competition that you could play. Wow. But it was sort of like a PlayStation Now, like a Netflix for games at the time, where you just had access to $15 a month and you could play, their library of games whenever you felt like it. And it was way ahead of its time, and it was a really clunky peripheral in terms of how it connected, and it was just
it had its own 9-volt, didn't it?
You had to power it, you had to plug in a coaxial, but that feature paved the way for some of the things that we're seeing now.
Absolutely,
in game streaming. Anything else?
That was all that I had, because I had a top 3 for that one.
Well, here we go.
This is the hard one.
Because I got another one here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to talk about my Vita for a moment.
Here we go. Yep.
Talk about a little Vita, little handheld action.
Got to talk about what you love.
Remote play, baby. Remote play, along with the idea of cross saves, of being able to pick up a game that I'm working on, play it on my PS4, upload the save back to my Vita, play it while I'm on the go, send it back to the cloud, put it up there. So the crossplay feature just in and of itself, that was something we always dreamed of back in the day, was being able to I wish I could go here and play that game, and then it'd just be good to go when I go home. Back in the day, playing on your Game Boy, playing Pokemon. How cool would it be if I could play this on my TV? And now you can. You can? Huh? Not the Pokemons, not the Pokemon.
Jeez, get my hopes up.
My apologies, but no, like I can like I'm trying to think of a game like with Watch Dogs. The majority of Watch Dogs that I played via remote play, just because I like the way that it handled. I like the way that it controlled, and I like that I could take it wherever I can go, and I have internet access and be able to play it. So, remote play to me is another really cool feature. All right, moving on to the third topic
It's
here.
hard for me though.
What are some of the worst features in a game or in a console of all time? We're gonna poo-poo.
I just got one essentially.
Oh man, I've got a lot.
You
Here,
I'll
I'll
go
start.
ahead and start, my friend.
I'll start. When Halo 4 decided that the majority of maps it was going to make you play on were Forge maps, that was horrible.
I don't think I experienced that.
It was later on after the Halo 4 release, but it turned into where I felt like almost every time I got online, I was playing exclusively on Forge maps.
Were they also different game types, like the custom game types as well?
I don't think I don't know because I normally just play.
Okay.
Standard Slayer playlists and stuff like that. So that's one of mine. Another one was when Uncharted. I don't like when like a system has a system specific feature that it forces you to use. So like the 6-axis controller, it's got motion control, it's got accelerometers in it, and so that was the only way that you could throw a grenade in an Uncharted game.
What, you like
was
flip
like
it forward?
Yeah, was like
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand that they're trying to utilize this function that the Xbox didn't have, but you fling it forward to throw. That's very uncomfortable.
Well, and it's just unnecessary. Like, why map something to that when every other game in the universe, every single other game in the universe, I press a button.
You click and hold to cook,
Yeah,
and you release to throw.
pressing the button to throw a grenade. So, okay, there's my first two. All right, lay it on me.
Mine was when Tony Hawk tried to get in the Peripheral game. Now, I'll admit, there are some pretty good peripherals out there. I'm quite the fan of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, so I'm not poo-pooing on the whole peripheral idea. But when they tried to bring it to popularity with Tony Hawk Ride, I thought that took what made Tony Hawk games super fun, super successful, and just flipping it over, like flipping the table. Like it went from recreational, just have a good time, turn on some crazy cheats, do weird combos, to now it's work. Now you have to stand there and like kick around something at your feet. Unnecessary.
And that's one of those things. It's like, to a point, I understand. Like, if you're launching a new peripheral that's going to try to be system wide, taking a title that's already established and having it use it, I can understand that to an extent. But with Tony Hawk, that was something you couldn't use anywhere else. Mm-hmm. That came out around the same time as like Guitar Hero and all that was getting big, right? I'm pretty sure it was maybe a couple years after. So it was like, well, Guitar Hero's got this piece of plastic that they're making money off of, and we have a pretty successful franchise, and there's something that kind of lends itself to an interactive peripheral like that. So why don't we try to get in on that? And it was like you took something we loved and made it into something dumb. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, makes sense if it's like Kinect, and hey, we're going to take a big title and have it have some Kinect implementation because we want Kinect to be something that moves beyond those games. But that's not anything. You're not playing Call of Duty on your ride board. For the love of God, please don't make me.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
But that's the only one I could come up with. I've had a good experience.
It's all right, man. Well, you're not a negative person. The fact that I have 4 on here means I'm a very negative individual.
But they're all really good. Like this next one, I'm super excited to hear about that one.
Yeah, the 3D on the 3DS.
The 3D, but that was its namesake though.
I know.
3DS.
And it was dumb. It was a
no
dumb
glasses.
Namesake. No glass. But here's the thing: I'm legally blind in my left eye, so maybe that changes the whole thing. But it really like. I've never. My wife's got a 3DS. I don't play on it very often, but I play on it every now and then, and I'll occasionally turn on that 3D switch and see what does it, and it's like, this is the quirkiest piece of crap feature that they continue to support for some reason.
I need to see it. I've never experienced it.
And it's just, to me, it adds nothing of value to the gaming experience on the 3DS. So I would list that one in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 4, so I can poo-poo on my favorite console, the PlayStation Move. Come on, PlayStation.
Now that.
Come on.
Okay, now, when it came to stuff like that, we had obviously the Wii peripheral, we had the Move, and then the early Kinect. Clearly, I mean, Kinect to me was the winner because you didn't have to hold anything.
Yeah.
Like why? And it had a giant ball at the end of it. It was so. It seemed like it was so far beyond, like back, behind the Wii peripherals and the Kinect. Like it wasn't even necessary. It was almost archaic feeling.
Yeah, mostly because you had to have the Move, but you also had to have that PlayStation Eye that could pick up
The ball tip.
Yeah, that's the
serious?
way it worked.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing about it was, and it's the thing that I just love about industry in general, regardless of what direction we're going, regardless of what companies we're looking at, but just the whole fact of when something gets announced, we're like, that's stupid. That's the dumbest thing in the universe. Because Sony looked at the Wii and was like, oh man, that's just, that's a trend that's going to blow away with the wind. And then it caught on and the Wii became like one of the hottest selling consoles of all time. Like it was sold out holiday seasons. And after that, PlayStation was like, maybe we'll do that. And it's what they're doing still stupid. So we're going to do it better. We're going to have colored light balls. Empty Vial said, I always heard that the Move was the most precise out of any of those types of peripherals. They just didn't support it properly. Here's the thing. It was. Like, the game that I played the most with it, because I owned it. As stupid as it was, I owned it. Because I love golf. And I like playing Tiger Woods. I like playing Tiger Woods with it. And it was incredibly precise when it came to those things. But it was them trying to be someone that they weren't. And they were trying to just ride on the coattails of the Wii. But it's classic PlayStation everything. If it's not a giant console they're launching, they have zero idea how to market the thing. We got the Move. You had the PlayStation Eye. You have the PlayStation Camera. You have the PlayStation Vita. You have the PlayStation TV. All of these things that released that were supposed to work in conjunction in this giant environment that they're trying to create. But yet you never see anything about anything but the PS4. Mm-hmm. It's like, because you're like, I didn't even know there was I didn't know there was anything called a PlayStation TV.
I didn't.
It's a set-top box that you can plug video games into, play them on your TV, and then you can remote play your PlayStation 4 from it.
Okay.
It's a really cool system. Like it has really cool features. It's going to have PlayStation Now support, so that you can stream PS3 games onto it. All of this stuff, you never heard of it, because that's what they do. They develop peripherals, and then they do not support them. Right at launch, even. The PlayStation TV launch, it's only been out less than a year in this country, and you've never heard of it. They poured money into the development of this thing, and you've never heard of it. And you are on a video game podcast. That's not your fault. That is PlayStation's fault. Poo-poo on you, PlayStation. I love you. But here's the thing, man. It's just been that way across the board. Like, the Move was a good piece of hardware. The Vita is a good piece of hardware. The PlayStation TV is a good piece of hardware, but they have no idea how to get their studios behind these things, developing for them in a way that is meaningful. And they don't know how to advertise it to a market other than the people that it automatically appeals to. Like, the Vita is a niche product. The PlayStation TV is a niche product. Move was a niche product. And you can't sustain a business and a piece of hardware, because hardware, it's hard to make money on hardware. That's why it's called hardware. Did you know that? I'm just kidding. That's not why it's called hardware. It's called hardware because you could touch it. Solid. But anyway. Anyway, I'm very upset now. Whew. Preaching. It's what I'm doing. I just don't get it.
I don't know.
Like, I don't understand how you pour money into the development of something and just say, okay,
Good luck.
Good luck.
Release it out to the wild. You can do it. I believe in you.
A guy on a freaking gaming podcast has never even heard of you. Bullcrap. Empty Vials wants to know if he wanted to chat and becomes friends with me. Could he do that? Again, money.
Bio. We'll put it on our bio. You'll know us pretty well.
Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. We like to engage with our Twitter followers and all that stuff at Player 3 Podcast. That'd be great. You have anything else? Anything you'd like to add to this entire discussion? Anything you'd like to go back to?
Can't say I do.
It's
I guess
great
I'm just
that
a
our
positive person.
it's good that our greatest features outweigh our worst features. Although I could just list off every single peripheral I just talked about from PlayStation.
The eye.
With my precious the eye, the camera, the Vita, the TV, the Move. I mean, and that's just in the last freaking decade. Like, Santa freaking Rhea, we're getting out of here. That was 3 Topic Thursday with Luke and Diz. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Freeze frame.
Freeze frame.
That was 103.25. 103.25. If that's what you want to do for me.